of our work plan, because last year we were able to launch the National Coordination Policy. We did in-depth analysis, and now I hear we are able now to actualize the demographic dividend operational plan, which is in a zero draft form, as well as, you know, ensuring that their coordinating role is achieved.
Mines and Minerals Development Minister Richard Musukwa has disclosed that government, through Zambia Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative and PACRA, has started implementing the beneficial ownership requirements for companies to disclose their beneficial owners. Mr. Musukwa says this will help government fight illicit financial flows in the extractive sector and the entire mining chain. Speaking when he launched the 2019 Zambia Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative report aimed at promoting transparency and accountability in the mining sector Thursday, the minister says the report will keep the public informed of all the tax payments the extractive industry makes to the government. Mr. Musukwa says the reports are done to keep the public informed on how the resources received from mining companies are dispersed.
This is done by keeping the public informed of all the tax payments made by extractive companies to the government and revenue received by the government from the extractive industry. And further, it is also done to ensure that on the part of government, the public is aware on how they disperse these resources which they receive from various mining companies in a transparent and open manner. Distinguished guests, Zambia has published to date, we are launching the 12th Zambia EITI report, which is based on the 2019 financial year, the applicable legal regulatory framework, and in addition, the information on how much is paid by companies and the quantum in terms of resources received by government, respectively. Furthermore, the EITI report also shows information on payment by mining companies to local councils and the corporate social responsibility payments by mining companies to various communities in which these mining houses exploit the resource.
Patriotic Front Media Director Sunday Chanda has noted with disappointment at the manner in which political figures are responding to court rulings countrywide. Commenting on President Edgar Lungu's eligibility debate, Mr. Chanda has asked the opposition leaders and all those championing this cause to accept the Constitutional Court ruling on matters the same way they have welcomed the court order on the ministers that overstayed in office after the dissolution of Parliament. This week, the Constitutional Court made a ruling over a 4-year-old matter concerning the stay of ministers in office in 2016, where the court ordered that the persons pay back within 30 days what they earned in that period of overstay in office. Mr. Chanda explains that in the spirit of upholding the rule of law, it is expected that the alliance respect every court ruling and come to the equity when justice is served. The PF Media Director has since challenged the alliance to stop the culture of selective adherence to judicial rulings, adding that their current approach only shows that they would abrogate the Constitution if at all they were elected into office.
We have noted the hypocrisy and with lots of disgust from the opposition whenever there's a ruling that favors them and seems not to favor the ruling party and government. We say so because there's been a trend that whenever there's a ruling or a judgment by the ConCourt that goes to favor the opposition will shower lots of credit and give reverence to the Constitutional Court. However, the same opposition leaders will pour disdain and all forms of insults or demeaning statements on the same Constitutional Court. For instance, in the matter in which a Court ruled that His Excellency President Edgar Lungu qualifies or is eligible to contest the 2021 election, we would want to call on the opposition leaders in this country that in the same way that they have embraced and rejoiced over the Court decision over this FOIA matter of concerning ministers who overstayed in office, we would want to call on the opposition political leaders to embrace another decision that was made by the same court, and that has to do with the eligibility of President Edgar Lungu. Otherwise, the opposition will be playing double standards.
The Civil Society Scaling Up Nutrition Alliance is urging Zambians to embrace the intake and the preservation of nutritious seasonal foods that are key in addressing the country's health malnutrition levels. Organization National Coordinator Matthews Muhuru notes that with the onset of the rain season, the country has access to a variety of seasonal foods which are nutritious in addressing all forms of malnutrition, one of Zambia's major health concerns. Among the many foods that can be preserved are the fruits such as mangoes, wild cucumbers, musinica and thorn melons, wondwe, kalembla, chihuahua, pumpkins, among others. Mr. Muhuru says preserving seasonal foods not only help to avert food insecurity, but also generate a balanced and diverse diet which provides the body with various essential nutrients. He notes that Zambia currently grapples with high malnutrition cases, especially in rural areas, making preserving and consuming seasonal foods key to alleviating hunger and malnutrition.
Nutrition Alliance would like to make a call on citizens to ensure that in the rainy season, where seasonal foods are plenty, they should preserve the seasonal foods that we have. Just looking at the vulnerability reports that have just been released, which have indicated that we have a huge population that is still in crisis mode when it comes to just food security. It is very important that the general public take interest in preserving the seasonal foods that are plenty during this season, just to make sure that just the high rates of malnutrition in Zambia do not continue, and more families are not left vulnerable, because we've also seen the prices of food that have been escalating, and just accessibility of food becoming more and more difficult. Other reports have also indicated that 88% of children, including the demographic health survey, that 88% of children are not having access to diverse foods frequently. So preserving food and having food that are diverse to consume all year round would be the best way to go.
We take our second set of commercials. Do stay with us as we have international and sports news. Don't go away.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel KWACHA mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customerservice@lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
Take control of your tax planning. Avoid penalties and interest. Returns and payments due by the 10th of the month for declarations of the previous month's transactions are pay as you earn and skills development levy. Returns and payments due by the 14th of the month are turnover tax, withholding tax, mineral royalty tax, tourism levy, gaming and baiting, presumptive tax. Returns and payments for all withholding VAT agents is the 16th of the month. Returns and payments for all VAT registered suppliers is the 18th of the month. Submit the returns and make payments on or before the respective due dates to avoid penalties on the late submission of returns and payments of taxes. Further, note that VAT tax invoices for all business-to-business and business-to-government transactions must bear the tip-in of the buyer without fail. Zambia Revenue Authority. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
Hello, have you heard about LUSAKA? Do you know that you can advertise for as low as 150 kwacha for 30 seconds? Well, LUSAKA is here. Advertise on LUSAKA between 17 hours and 18 hours. Just tell us about the services that you offer and we'll gladly put you on the market. For more details, you can contact +260 953 995099. +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467. LUSAKA, allowing your business to grow.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. In international news, Ghana's president has narrowly won re-election, a result his opponents immediately said they would appeal against. The Electoral Commission says Nana Akufo-Addo had 51.59% of the vote. He has called for peace among Ghanaians and to respect the outcome of the election which led to his re-election. And in other news, still on the global front, crucial trade talks between the European Union and Britain have broken up without a clear decision. The meeting between Ursula von der Leyen and Boris Johnson in Brussels was aimed at finding a political compromise to break months of deadlock. Instead, the dinner concluded with both sides admitting that large gaps remain and a final decision will be made at the weekend. We monitored Al Jazeera for a roundup.
Nana Akufo-Addo gave the 2020 presidential contest everything he could, knowing that at 76, this might be the twilight of his political career. Despite allegations of corruption against his government, a defiant president held on to defeat his arch-rival, former President John Mahama, for a second time. Although his party said it knew it won, it's this declaration that confirmed his successful second-term bid.
The Ghanaian people, through the results, have made it loud and clear that the two parties, the MPP and NDC, must work together, especially in Parliament, for the good of the country. Now is the time for each and every one of us, irrespective of our political affiliations, to unite, join hands, stand shoulder to shoulder, and work hard to place Ghana where she deserves to be.
Although his party said it knew it won, it's this declaration that confirmed his successful second-term bid.
On the basis of the foregoing election results, and by the power vested in me as the chairperson of the Electoral Commission of Ghana and the returning officer of the presidential election, it is my duty and honor to declare Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as President-elect of the Republic of Ghana.
A tense standoff between security forces and supporters of the opposition candidate John Mahama preceded the declaration. Although they may have forced a change in venue for the announcement, it wasn't enough to save their candidate from defeat. An angry protester says they will never accept the victory of Akufo-Addo.
But they are bringing war to Ghana now. They want war to happen to Ghana. But today, nothing. We are not going to say anything now. We will do our homework, and we are not accepting this kind of bogus Jamaican results.
Many party loyalists and the rest of the nation look to former President John Mahama to rein in his supporters, so as not to plunge the country into chaos. He says he will, but is also not conceding defeat.
I want to state categorically and firmly that I've not congratulated any person. No attempt should be made to steal this election. We will resist it.
Tensions between supporters of Ghana's dominant political parties have been on the rise even before election day. Despite the deployment of 63,000 security personnel and a peace pact signed by the leading candidates, at least 5 people were killed in post-election violence.
Protests like this were what most people hoped could be avoided, adding to an already tense situation why some business owners decided to remain shut. The last time elections were this tense in Ghana was 8 years ago.
Then opposition candidate Nana Akufo-Addo alleged tampering of the result and filed a petition with the election tribunal. For now, though, supporters of President Nana Akufo-Addo say they won't hold back their celebrations.
This was the first time in months that the British Prime Minister has travelled personally to Brussels, and the importance of the dinner with the European Commission President cannot be exaggerated. After deadlock in the technical negotiations, the hopes of salvaging $1 trillion a year trading relationship now rested on political compromise. Firstly, over the etiquette of face masks.
Do you take our mask off, Ursula?
If we keep distance, then...
Outside the Commission building, the Union flag was hoisted for the first time since January. But when Boris Johnson's motorcade departed 3 hours later, the assessment from the UK side was downbeat. Significant obstacles and very large gaps remain, said a spokesman. Unclear whether these can be bridged. Ursula von der Leyen's statement described a lively and interesting discussion, but also admitted a clear understanding that the positions remain very far apart. The negotiating teams have been asked to reconvene in one last effort to find common ground, but on Sunday a firm final decision will be made.
To answer questions from Sir Ed.
Both sides have political red lines and compromise is difficult. Before travelling to Brussels, Boris Johnson had faced a restless session of Parliament.
What I can say is that this country will be ready for whether we have a Canadian or an Australian solution, and there will be jobs created in this country throughout the whole of the UK, not just in spite of Brexit, but because of Brexit.
And Ursula von der Leyen is also under intense pressure to protect the integrity of the EU's single market.
Wir können nicht einfach sagen, darüber sprechen.
We need a level playing field, and not just for today, but for tomorrow and the next day. We need agreements on how each side can react when the other side changes its legal parameters. Otherwise, it will result in unfair competition, and we won't let this happen to our businesses.
But future-proofing a level playing field between the two is challenging. The EU is adamant that Britain can't continue to have free access to the single market if it also wants to diverge from EU standards and rules. But Britain is equally insistent that the EU's attempt to lock the UK to European rules is an unacceptable infringement of sovereignty. Analysts see the need for compromise on both sides. Paul Brennan, Al Jazeera, Brussels.
We now get into sports news. Spain's La Liga and leading side VILLARREAL CF will be providing the opportunity of a lifetime for one young star competing at the ongoing COSAFA qualifiers for Total Under 20 AFCON Mauritania 2021, with the chance to sample one of the world's great football nations firsthand. The player of the tournament at the zone primary competition being staged at Nelson Mandela Bay will receive a special La Liga experience where they will be hosted by VILLARREAL CF and get the chance to train with the club's academy team. That is just a sample of what awaits the footballer who will be chosen by the COSAFA Technical Study Group at the tournament in what is a wonderful opportunity to see the level required to be a professional in Europe's top leagues. Already, La Liga will provide Spanish football experiences for 4 young stars from the recently competed COSAFA Women's and Men's Under-17 Championships that were also held in Nelson Mandela Bay. That sports item brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a recap of the headlines. KABOMPO River crocodiles feast on humans fetching water. 42-year-old man of Lusaka pleads guilty of abusing an 11-year-old girl over to KWACHA. VEEP directs General Education Ministry to investigate bullying in schools. And in international news, Ghana's re-elected president calls for national unity. And in sports news, LALIGA VILLARREAL to pick best player at the ongoing Under-20 AFCON. We now look at the Camnet verse of the day, which is coming from the book of Psalms 91 verse 1 to 2. And it reads, "The one who lives under the protection of the Most High dwells in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust." On behalf of the entire news production crew and myself, Liseli Kanyanga, thank you so much for watching Camnet TV News on Camnet TV, not just another channel.